Joining us now is Anton Fedyashin. He's the director at the Carmel Institute of Russian Culture and History at the American University, right here in Washington. What do you make of this? It's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Boy, it's very strange. No one saw this coming. The Turks and the Russians have had their disagreements about policy in Syria. Everyone knows about it. It's been out in the open. No one thought that the Turks would actually risk their relationship with the Russians that has been building and economically strengthening over the past decade, basically, over the question of Assad and who controls Syria. So we've got a rocky road ahead.
The latest, Putin today accusing Turkey of the shoot-down in efforts by Ankara to protect oil supplies from ISIL to Turkey. Pretty serious allegation there. And then Turkey trying to mend fences, have a meeting on the sidelines, no go with the Russians. How about these latest incidents?
Well, look, again, Putin's taking this very personally. It's not like him to cancel meetings. It's not like him to have the Russian foreign minister cancel meetings, which is what happened a few days ago. The accusation against Turkey, however, is a perfect illustration that the blowback from this is going to be a lot worse for Turkey than it is for the Russians, because now Turkish policy in Syria, their anti-Kurdish campaign, and also their relationship with ISIL is going to be under the microscope. And in the post-Paris attack atmosphere, there's been a real turn in public opinion across the world towards working with the Russians and creating a coalition. The Turks seem to have thrown the wrench into the works, but it looks like it's going to fly right back at them.
What about sanctions? Talk to us about the impact.
Oh, the sanctions. Okay, so Turkey and Russia have a very asymmetrical economic relationship. First of all, Russia just became last year Turkey's biggest trading partner. It accounts for about 13% of Turkey's imports. The asymmetricity of the relationship, however, is that the Russians export a lot of energy to Turkey. Neither country can do without that. I don't think that's going to be effective. The oil and gas are going to continue to flow. A nuclear power plant is going to get built. But what the Turks get from the Russians is tourism, which the Russians can certainly shut off. And the Turks export an enormous amount of food to Russia, and the Russians can start closing those spigots. The Turks will find it very difficult to find a symmetrical economic answer to that. So they stand to lose a lot more than the Russians do.
So many players on the playing field when it comes to Syria. And there's been so much talk about coordinating all of this. Do you think that this is the fact that there was a tragedy that will get a step closer to that, or everybody's got just vested interest in the chances of that happening? Or just...
Everyone's got vested interests. I don't think anything's going to change radically. But I think that, again, the post-Paris drift towards cooperating and a major alliance will continue despite the Turks. I think they've actually isolated themselves as a result of this incident, despite the fact that NATO is supporting them on the surface and publicly, but behind closed doors, I'll bet there was some very unpleasant conversation.
Now, the leaders of these two countries obviously playing to domestic audiences who are probably worked up. How does, like, we know the U.S. president met with Putin on the sidelines. He's trying to get everybody to ratchet it down. Others are as well. How do you do that when you've got domestic audiences that are kind of frenzied up, so to speak?
Well, I think you do that through apologies, first of all, which the Turks don't want to do and the Russians expect them to do. But ultimately, I think time will ease the immediate crisis, and then we'll go back into hard-headed realpolitik mode, where the Turks and the Russians will start talking behind closed doors first and then start mending fences. It's inevitable because both sides have an enormous amount to lose, mostly the Turks.
Yeah. Anton, always a pleasure having you in. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.